The first strategy that we can utilize to help our clients to change dysfunctional thinking is simply, after receiving permission, of course, to educate our clients about the fact that these kinds of negative thought patterns and messages do not need to be the norm forever. Individuals can make changes to the way they think. So one example of how you might share that with your client: possibly your thoughts may be hampering your progress in making behavior changes. Some people are surprised to learn that we have control over what messages our brains deliver. It has been found that by directing our self-talk, we can improve the outcomes of our behavior change attempts. As we know, knowledge or education alone do not tend to change behavior. So that's only the first step. If our clients are open to finding a new way of thinking, then we can move forward. And the second step will be to help our clients identify that dysfunctional thinking. Often they're very aware of how negative their thought patterns are, and they can kind of describe the voice in their heads that is talking to them in a harsh way. But if that's not the case, we can help our clients to analyze a difficult situation, look back and answer the question, what were you saying to yourself when that happened? Or we can set them up with an experiment in which they keep a journal that includes their thoughts and feelings during difficult times. And that can help them to start to recognize those negative thought patterns. The next step is to coach our clients through exploring the validity of those self-destructive statements. So once they've been able to identify, yeah, these are some things that I say to myself that are really harsh, then we can guide them through answering questions like, was that idea accurate? Why is it so terrible that you ate that food? What are the worst things that could happen if what you must, should, or ought to do doesn't happen? What good does it do for you to focus on the negative thoughts? These kinds of questions help our clients to start challenging the idea that those negative thought patterns are things they just have to live with, and also help them to challenge the idea that those negative thought patterns are helpful to them in some way or necessary in some way. Next, we'll coach our clients on putting a stop to those destructive thoughts. For many, visualizing an actual stop sign can be helpful, and there's actually one of the many acronyms we've talked about in this class to kind of help guide them through stopping that negative thought. But this acronym kind of leads us to the next steps, so we'll just jump into those. And that is to prepare constructive responses that they are going to turn to when they identify, all right, I'm falling into these negative thought patterns right now, and then to actually substitute those constructive thoughts. So as an example, as much as possible, help the clients to think ahead. In a negative situation, what might you say to yourself differently than the usual soundtrack of negative thoughts? So if a client knows that she gets frustrated when her typical workout routine is discombobulated because of weather, she might decide, if that comes up and I'm getting frustrated, I can tell myself, rain makes walking outside inconvenient. It doesn't mean I need to stop walking. I just need to prepare for a rainy day. So the client will have that more positive response pre-prepared. The final step, of course, is to actually, in the moment, be able to substitute those more constructive thoughts instead of the destructive ones. They may or may not be thoughts that the client had pre-prepared, but as the client gets better and better at this, they can shut down or at least minimize that negative thinking by turning to a more positive perspective, thinking about what they learned from the situation, how they might do something differently in the future, or just focusing on self-efficacy. I'm trying to get better at this, and I'm making progress. next time I am going to find it easier to be successful. Those kinds of positive thinking. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of how you can coach your client through dealing with these negative thought patterns, because as we know, often our clients, more than needing knowledge and education, they need strategies to be able to not just make change, but stick with it. And this is something that can help them to get through those challenging times or those slip-ups, and can really help our clients get to the next level of success and perhaps achieve the maintenance stage of change.